Hi, my name's Brian James. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, being a bit of a work day, but I thought I'd go through my thought processes with you, how I think and the considerations that I take in while I'm looking at doing one of these cars. So first of all, some people may ask, why don't I build a brand new one? And that's a really good question. And yes, look, it wouldn't be a problem for me to build a new one. But I actually prefer restoring ones that I've brought back to life. It means that, for me, that there's a car that was on the road, that was loved, can be back on the road and loved again. So it is recycling in a way. And yeah, look, I just prefer doing that. Another reason behind it is you get to see some really interesting engineering feats. Most of these cars were built by amateurs, and you know, you've got your lawyers, your accountants, right down to the guy in the factory, opera singers. Actually, my last car that I've just sold, the Lucky Strike Chevron, was built by an opera singer. So you get to see their take on how they would do things. Not necessarily good from an engineering point of view, but different. And you can learn from it, and sometimes you can correct it to make it a little bit more safer. So that's why I prefer to do the older cars. You've got everything there, and yeah, it's just, for me, quite enjoyable. That's my personal thought process behind it. Next up, this one. Now, if you've picked up an old car, an old Lotus 7 type replica, with the view to restore it, do it up, or just get it back on the road, or create a track day car. Like, these cars really are the Swiss Army knife of cars. They can be an awesome track day weapon. They can be a cruiser for around town, you know, because it's open top, and on a sunny day there's nothing better, quite honestly. They can be a touring car, and by that I mean you can go out and experience your country like no one else can, other than, say, a motorcyclist. But you get the sights, the sounds, and most importantly, the smells, all directly fed into your senses, so you can really enjoy what you're doing and take it all in. And as I found with the Fraser 5000 last year, it just takes one smell to bring back that whole memory, and it's an amazing thing. So you have to decide what you want to do, and you can do many things. You can build a touring car that's going to be good on the track, but most likely it's not going to be a track day weapon, because with your touring around New Zealand or your own country, you're going to take into account fuel economy. And when you're on the track, fuel economy is the last thing you want to take into account. So right from the beginning, you sort of need to decide where you're heading. And that's really cool. That's part of the fun of the process. And so for me, for this car, my focus is always on touring and just driving it. And with short stints to the track, to play on the track day, to get that need for speed out of my veins, so to speak. So now that you've sort of, if you're going through this process, once you've decided what process or what you want to build your car to, and especially if you pulled one out of a garage, under a house, for me this was next to the house, you need to take a really good look at the car and quite honestly think what you need to do. Do you want it painted? Do you not? Now, looking at this car, I'm actually quite happy with its patina. It worked really hard to get it, But that's not to say that I won't paint it. And it's within my skill set to be able to do that. Now, that's another thing you have to look at, is you have to be honest about your skill sets. And so you need to take a good honest look at yourself and think, right, I can do A, B, C's a little bit out of my range for what I want to achieve. Like anyone, absolutely anyone can use a rattle can and put some paint on a car. But unless you're really good, it's gonna look like shit. And that's fine. If you're happy with that, more the power to you, because you need to be honest with what you want and what you can do. So it's within my skill sets to be able to do this. Now, I was leaning towards a camo urban can paint with all the little camo pieces done in skulls. Now, I am sort of shying away from that now, and I'm looking at like a Capricorn green. It's a GM colour, so it's a dark green, almost similar to British racing green. Now, I do like green, and I do like dark green, but it's got a nice gold fleck through it. So I believe that dark green and gold do go together. Obviously, you need to look at colours that you do go together and don't go together. So Dayglow purple and green do not go together. That's an extreme view, but there we go. So I am quite happy to paint this. Equally, I'm quite happy just to leave it and get it up and running for summer and drive around in it just the way it is. But upon taking a look at it a little bit more, there's quite a lot of surface rust underneath, purely because it's been left outside for about 8 years. And I mean, it was undercover, but it was still enough to start the process. As you can see, all the chrome along here is all peeling off. So, and it is a lot like that all the way through. It's not structural rust, but there's a lot of surface rust there, and I don't like that. So what I am going to be doing with this car is completely blowing it apart, and I'll probably do that today. Unfortunately, look, I don't have my GoPro up and running. It took a hit on the Fraser 5000 and it's destroyed the lens. Now, it was only a GoPro 4, so it is quite an old one. But if you've got the latest model GoPro and you do have an old GoPro sitting in the back of the cupboard, I'm more than happy to take a look at it, and I'd like to buy it off you. Just putting it out there. And that way I can get time-lapse footage of me actually doing this, so it's better content for you guys. But today we're going to be blowing the car apart, and that way I'll be taking like the guards, all the aluminium off it, the bonnet and that, and I can take a better look at what I'm dealing with. At work, my workplace has just installed a brand new powder coating bake oven. So I'll be buying a box of black powder, and I will be powder coating the chassis, the suspension components, the front suspension components. So we've got a S14 independent rear end with an R200 diff in it. It is an open diff, it is not a limited slip, so we may be changing that. I need to check the gearing in that diff. I'm kind of hoping for something like a 3.5. Once again, open road gearing. If it's going to be purely for open road, then I don't mind the fact that it's not a limited slip. With those independent rears, they are actually quite easy to change a whole diff head over to a limited slip if I'm going to a track day. So I may look at investing in say a Skyline R200 limited slip diff that's got, say, 411 gears for the track, just so I can have a bit of fun and in gymkhanas and so forth. I'm looking at a brand new gauge cluster, something that suits me a little bit more than what we've got in there at the moment. Strengthening up some of the welds that are on there before we powder coat it. So there is actually quite a lot to do. Also, while I'm thinking about it, the bonnet and the scuttle panel don't fit to my standard. There's about a 1/2 inch gap around it. So rubber blocks were put on those to stop the bonnet rattling, but personally I'm more interested in getting the scuttle panel and the bonnet to fit correctly. So you've got felt to stop it squeaking, just like a little 6 or 3mm layer of felt. So these are all things that go through my thought process. I need to modify the roll bar that's behind me so it fits onto this chassis. That's not a problem. As we can see, we've already started with the wheels. Now I thought I wasn't going to like those 17-inch wheels on there, but actually I grew to like them very quickly, so I may just stick with them instead of just using them for track days. Use them for touring as well. Also, I've been requested to do a video on my sleep pod, which we can see is right behind me here. So sometime in the very near future, I'll be doing a full video on that, taking you for a look around it and discussing with you guys what the thought process of what I plan to do with that is. But I'm actually looking really excited to do that. Once again, and I'll say more in that video, but that's a very light trailer that I hope will be pulled by this. Say if I'm heading up north, if there's an event up north that I can sleep over and I'm not running with a big group of guys. Obviously with runs like the Fraser 5000, I can't be towing a trailer, and that's fine. The speed of the group, as much as yes they don't exceed 100 kilometres per hour, which is the speed limit of New Zealand, they don't slow down much for corners either. Once again, that's what these cars are for, lots of fun. So that doesn't bode well for a trailer doing that either. So, but when we did the Waikato Wanderers and that, as long as I can pitch the trailer up in the Friday night, I've got a place to stay, and we can do the run, and then I can hook the trailer up on the Sunday and go home. Anyway, so that is my thoughts behind it. And once again, all of these thought processes I'm going to try and discuss with you guys so you can get an idea of how to think, and it may actually help you out in your project. I may say something that is sparks an idea, a bit of interest, or it may be just a different way of looking at things. To that extent, by all means, please comment in the comment section and I will try and answer it to the best of my ability. If you've got an idea that you may want to swap brakes, wheels, how do you feel about doing a complete makeover on a car that you've loved but you're starting to get a bit stale on, I'm more than happy to try and inspire you to new heights, so to speak. Because that's what this hobby is about, getting us stuck in and having a lot of fun. Okay, that's enough of me waffling on. If you like what you've seen, hit subscribe, hit like, and by all means, please share this around. Get more people involved in it. I'm more than happy to answer more questions. And yeah, this is a great hobby. Thanks. You have a good day.